Okay, refrigerant, AC refrigerant flow test, right? You got some paper?
Oh.
Take them 2 pieces of paper right there,
Test.
number them, yeah, number them.
We need
Take them and number them. Take them 2 pieces of paper, right here, them 2 right here. Them 2 pieces of paper, number them on the back.
I need a pen.
1 to 8.
I need a pen.
Why do you need a pen? How come you didn't bring a pen?
Because it's wrench turning class.
Okay, do you got a pen? You don't have a pen, neither one of y'all got a pen. Okay, well, all right then, if you ain't got a pen, you'll just have to walk your way through it, not writing it down. I have people that don't bring a pen, don't bring a pocket screwdriver, don't bring a flashlight, don't bring nothing, you know. I guess I should be glad you're here, huh, right?
Yeah.
Probably, I mean.
I had people come to me and ask me, laughing, huh, you got a pen I can borrow? I said, you know what this is? This is a pen. Everything else in this is a tool. Except for that's a Sharpie, I guess that could qualify as a pen.
I got a pen in my truck.
Yeah.
I do too.
That's both of you guys, well, this has to do without a pen because we're going to plow into this thing. Because if y'all go out in your truck, I don't know how long it'll be before you come back.
Okay.
All right.
You're lost.
But I mean, I'm going to go ahead and put this on YouTube so the other people that, you know, for whatever reason weren't able to be here today can do it. Okay, so your starting point is the compressor. Okay, put your phone away. Your starting point is the compressor. Don't put it in your lap, put it away. All right, where does it go next? Where does it go next? Zane, put your phone face down on the table. What about it?
The condenser or evaporator or something called.
What do you think? I need an answer from you that's not related to your phone.
Okay.
Where does it leave after? Where does it go after it leaves there? Where does it go after it leaves the compressor?
Into a
One of
line.
these is the right answer.
I'm gonna say it goes into a line.
Hmm?
Goes into a line.
Okay, that's smart.
Yeah, I didn't read
So
it.
it'd be the after it leaves, it'd be the suction line, right?
No.
Well, with the isn't it?
Why would it leave the compressor on the suction line? Because usually it's,
The liquid line.
Or,
no, it's not the liquid line. It's this line,
Discharge.
the discharge line, right? All right, where does it go next?
The condenser.
Goes to the condenser. All right, that's where it goes next. All right. What's the next component?
It should go to the dryer next.
Well, that depends.
Or,
You're not totally wrong about that, because this is the cardinal rule. If an AC system has an expansion valve on it, it will have a receiver dryer, which is the little thing that's in the liquid line. If it has a accumulator on it, if it's got a fixed orifice tube, it'll have an accumulator. So it's got an accumulator if it's got a fixed orifice. If it's got an expansion valve, it's got a little receiver dryer, which is a smaller thing. See those little small aluminum can things up there behind you?
yeah,
All right, that's right there is a receiver dryer. Now, on some of them, the receiver dryer will be built into the side of the radiator.
turn it
the
other way.
the side end of the condenser. You know?
Because it's still on.
Yeah, it's basically that's got oil in it, it's got desiccant beads and all that kind of stuff, the little BBs you were talking about. All right, where does it go next? This is number 5. Where's the next? What's the next component of the refrigerant path?
The evaporator.
Okay, so it's going to go to the evaporator. And what's going on in the evaporator? Now that is actually a cutaway accumulator, so you can see what's in there. What?
It's where it releases hot air, turns it back to cold.
Releases hot air and turns it back to cold
Yeah,
air.
it's like where it fans and contracts.
What's going on in the evaporator? What's the refrigerant doing in there?
It's changing from liquid to a gas.
That
Or
means
gas to a liquid.
No, a liquid to a gas because it's evaporating. As it evaporates, it absorbs heat. So hot air comes in, cold air comes out. And it sweats like a glass of tea. And it drips on the ground. Right, that's why that is over there. Okay, number 6. It's hard to tell because she puts these colors on here that aren't much different from the background of the slide, you know. All right, so what's next? We've already gone to the evaporator. Where are we going next?
Back to the compressor.
Actually, we're going to go, if it's a fixed orifice line, we're going to go to that accumulator, what you got there. Okay, and then the accumulator leaves the accumulator, why does it need that accumulator? What happens in the accumulator?
It accumulates.
It actually has got some oil in there. All right, pull that desiccant bag back a little bit. Look down at the bottom of that
Need
loop.
your put it everywhere.
There is a little bitty screen down there, and there's a little bitty hole. And what happens is, as it's pulling that gas out of there, it's actually mixing some refrigerant in there. It's mixing refrigerant oil in with the refrigerant, and it carries it into the compressor, and it's sort of oil, like, you know how chainsaw works? You put the chainsaw oil in the gas, and it actually has to lubricate the piston and all with the gas going through the crankcase and all that. That's how it gets it. All right, so next component, refrigerant path. All right, back to the compressor. All right, here's your answers. Whenever it leaves, it goes to the discharge line. Next, it goes to the condenser. In other words, it goes from the compressor to the condenser. And what's going on in the condenser?
Are these meant for us to answer?
Yes,
We've already.
you already missed them, because you were dragging late. What?
Changes from
Huh?
a liquid to a gas.
Yeah, 'cause
That's right. No, a gas to a liquid.
Yeah, that's.
Because you've got, coming in the discharge line, you have high pressure vapor that's been squeezed. It's been squeezed by the, yeah. So in the condenser, you're basically, that high pressure vapor is turning into a liquid, and as it turns into a liquid, it gives off heat. Now, on the ones that have what they call a subcooler, I mentioned this the other day, not only does it turn it into a liquid, and those will be the ones that's got the actual receiver dryer built on the side of the condenser. And the way you change that is you got to take a little plug out of the bottom, you drop this little bag out of there. Zane cannot put his phone down for no amount of time. I don't know what the deal is on that. But anyway, you got this long bag of this sock. It's got that desiccant in it, and they got a little plug you screw out. It's got washers on it. It's not that hard to get to on most of them. But anyway, the subcooler not only turns it into a liquid, but it also cools it off. Okay. Now then, you got a liquid line, which is what you were talking about. Your liquid line is leaving the condenser, and it's going either through the expansion valve or the fixed orifice, depending on how it's, you know. But if it's got a, remember I've told you, it's got a fixed orifice, it's going to go through a receiver dryer before it goes to the fixed orifice. Now here's the problem with that. That bag that you see in that thing, it's actually got that same stuff in the in a little receiver dryer. And occasionally, if somebody hadn't changed that receiver dryer in a long time, the little beads of stuff will come out of that receiver dryer, and they'll get hung up in the expansion valve, and then you'll wind up without any AC. Now, if you take your line loose from your expansion valve and you see a bunch of desiccant in there, it means that you've basically got a receiver dryer that's coming apart on the inside. Orifice or expansion valve, like I say, you got an OR there, and then you got your evaporator, and then it makes a circle again back through the suction line. And then it's an accumulator and suction line. If it's got, it won't have an accumulator if it had an expansion valve. So basically, I should have done on that. Okay. So this right here is a scroll type compressor. Now this is a picture when I was at the Mobile Air Conditioning Society convention. I went by the booth where Denso was making these, had these compressors cut, and I took these pictures with my camera to show you. You might notice that you got these, they got two scrolls, and they got little seals on each end of them, and then basically they roll around inside of each other, and you got little one-way reed valves here. And the cool thing about those is it doesn't take a lot of energy to pull a scroll type compressor. The downside of it is the scroll type compressor is more expensive than the other kind of compressor, and they wear out routinely. You got me? So you're going to have to replace some of these sooner or later. Now we've actually, there's a scroll type compressor in here somewhere that we took apart so that I could show what it was like on the inside. But anyway, a lot of your vehicles have got scroll type compressors on them. Typically, if you've got a short compressor like that one right there, you're going to have that.
You talking about that?
Huh?
You talking about the one for the Chevrolet truck?
No, which one are you talking about there?
There was one in here that was for a Chevrolet truck that.
No, the one I'm talking about, these, like that Ford 500 sitting out there, that gray one, we got to change your oil in this afternoon. Don't let me forget that. But that gray one out there, it's got a scroll type compressor on it. And a lot of your, some of your Chrysler, Mitsubishi stuff, they get foreign cars. Scroll type compressor, first time I ever heard of one was basically on a '89 Eagle Summit. They were talking about scroll top compressors. A lot of your, a lot of your other air conditioning systems have got scroll top compressors on them too, like your house air conditioners, from what I understand. But anyway, it's really lightweight, doesn't take, Asian cars like to use these, but one scroll is fixed and the other one rotates, and they're efficient, but they're really pricey. And you know, like I say, they like to wear out too. If you actually put your, and I'll show you this in a minute, you put your gauges on there, you know it's got plenty of refrigerant in it, you can look at your pressures and tell if you got a bad compressor. Then so we'll also build this variable displacement unit. Now, the thing about a variable displacement, well, what is this over here? Anybody know? What is that? It's cutaway now. This is obviously the pulley.
Right.
Some clutch.
Yeah, it's got a clutch on that one, looks like. But a lot of these that are variable displacement like that one, as this plate changes, and it can change it, it uses refrigerant pressure and a solenoid to change it, basically. And when it's vertical like that, it ain't compressing. And whenever it moves, the pistons are going back and forth more when this swash plate changes angle. And normally, the compressors that most of us are used to on the older cars had a fixed angle on that, and those pistons would go back and forth as it spun. But a lot of the times you may see these without a clutch. No clutch, it's just spinning all the time, but it does have these little breakaway things in there in case something locks up. And what you may do, you may say, so you have to put, fix the clutch, the part of it where the pulley is. But if it's basically, if it doesn't have a clutch, then you're going to be looking at this, and it'll have some extra wires going to the compressor. Now this is a fixed displacement compressor. See how that angle is always there? And when you're spinning out, it's basically got a clutch that grabs on the end. There's always a bearing right here too, and that bearing is what I think to lock up. Now why do we have such a large pulley on that thing in relation to in other words, why don't we put a little pulley on it about the size of an alternator pulley?
You just spin too fast to do
It needs more torque.
that. Right.
Alright. Now then, you see this right here? These static pressure readings are fairly common, so you basically see it close to 100 pounds. You notice these two gauges have got different ranges. This one right here goes to 500 pounds, that one goes to 350, but the way they're stacked up there, 100 pounds is right here, and over here, 100 pounds is right there. But you've got 100 pounds showing on each gauge, right? Now these little knobs right here, whenever you turn those knobs right there, it basically connects what's on the edge to what's down here. So what I'm saying, you can figure that out. We'll talk about that later. But one way or another, there's no hard published numbers for what static readings are supposed to be. So you can't really tell anything on this. If you hook your gauges up and you don't see any pressure, you know it hasn't got any refrigerant. Or if it's got really low pressure, like if it's way over here, you'll know it ain't gonna work. But I have seen it where you'd have pressure between 70 and 90 psi and it would still be really low on refrigerant. So you cannot take static readings to the bank. And like I say, you're not gonna find any numbers anywhere in any shop manual about that. Now this one right here, these readings right here were produced by a weak compressor. This was doing everything it could do, and the compressor was energized and it was running real steady and it never was cycling off, and it had plenty of refrigerant in it. And you notice this reading right here is 55 psi, and that one is under 150. Now when that compressor kicks in, this needle right here, I just need to go ahead and use my laser, I guess. This needle right here should go down somewhere in this general area. Now if it goes down below about right here and it's got a low pressure cycling switch on the accumulator, it's going to kick the compressor off and it'll go back up. But this one here goes up and this one here goes down. That's what the compressor is doing. Now this compressor couldn't do anything here. Now if both of these are really low, in other words, if the static pressures are normal and you know you got enough refrigerant in there, but it's pulling both of these lines low, and basically what you got there is you got a problem with your orifice tube being stopped up or your expansion valve. Now one time we worked on a Toyota. They had both, no AC cooling, and they had both compressor, both of them low. And because they were both low, we replaced the expansion valve, which you got to pull part of the dash out to get to that, and it was kind of aggravating to do and all that. And so when we put the expansion valve in there, because like I say, typically that's what's wrong with it, we replaced the dryer and all that stuff. Didn't really see anything wrong with the expansion valve. We put it back in there, and the pressures were both still low. And on that one, in order to fix the pressures where they'd be right, we put an evaporator in it. Didn't see anything wrong with the evaporator, we could blow air through it, whatever, I don't know. So we put an evaporator on it, and after that we had good cooling. That's a sort of a mystery to me. I'll tell you something else too. There was a mysterious situation I ran into. It was very mysterious. I may have mentioned this before, maybe last semester or something. And this girl brought this little geo tracker here, and she said her air conditioner had worked just fine the previous fall. The spring, you know, was turning into summer, and it was getting kind of hot. And she says, you know, air conditioner worked fine just last fall, but it ain't working at all now. And so I got in there and I, you know, moved the levers around and turned it on or whatever. And I said, well, I don't feel any cold air here. You know, a lot of times you'll have a little button that you push, it says AC, the blue light comes on, and there wasn't one in there. And so I got out here and it had a, you know, the compressor wasn't kicking on, and I had all the little pressure switches and all that stuff. But as I tracked this thing down electrically, I found out that it didn't have a switch in the dash. Furthermore, the little blind plug you're supposed to break out when you put a switch broke out. It's like it had never had a switch since the little thing was brand new. And the connector that was behind the switch, it was supposed to go to that button, was hanging there kind of stiff and didn't look like it had ever been plugged into anything. And whenever I used a piece of jumper wire and I jumpered that thing out, the compressor kicked on and we had air. And so I says, has anybody worked on the dash on this thing and maybe put a different, you know, different parts on there? No, nobody's done anything to it. And I said, and you're telling me the air conditioner was working last fall? She said, yeah, it was working last fall. I said, well, I don't see how it could, because you didn't have a button to turn it on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have never figured that out. It's an unsolved mystery as far as I can tell. Well, she didn't want to pay $70 for a button. You know, and so I just put a little jumper wire in there and let her go out. I said, when you turn on your fan, you're going to have AC. When you turn it off, you won't, you know. The compressor will run anytime you turn on your fan. That's what she wanted done. Anyway, long and short of it is, now this right here, I've seen this more than, hey, you can't read these numbers very well. That's 23% R134 and 76% R12. Now, the reason we like to run our refrigerant identifier on these things is because when a vehicle comes in for AC work, you don't know what's in there. You don't know if it's got petrol, you know, it's got explosive gas in there like propane or butane or whatever else it may have. And this tool that's made by Neutronics, which is a cool company by the way, can find that. See right here, hydrocarbons, the bottom one is HC. R22 is like the old refrigerant they used to use in house air conditioners. Some people will be putting that in there. So this one right here, I've got a separate machine and a separate bottle that I use to unhook. I don't ever hook our big machine up when I see something like this, and I hook this little machine like Joey had over there, is where you hook it up and you hook it up to a bottle and you just basically have it pull the refrigerant out and put it in a bottle. And the bottle that you put trash refrigerant in is gray with a yellow top. It's supposed to be painted gray with a yellow top. Now the problem with that is, if you want somebody to do away with that bottle of refrigerant, it costs $3,000. So what we do is we take that bottle of refrigerant, this trash refrigerant, and we store it. And we get another bottle, and you know, I guess when we fill it up to where we've got the whole room stacked slam full of trash refrigerant, we'll be in a big mess, you know. But I was talking to the people at Safety Clean the other day, and I said, if I got a bottle full of this trash refrigerant, what do I need to do with it? And they said, well, it was $2,000 or $3,000. It was a ton of money.
For one bottle? For one bottle?
Yeah, just to take one bottle of trash refrigerant. And that's why it's really important not to just plug the machine in and start pulling the stuff out. Also, let's say that somebody has lost all their refrigerant, because maybe they hit a rock driving down the road and it busted their hole in their little condenser and all the refrigerant got gone and all that. We put a condenser on there. I have actually had people that I have trained and preached this to hook the machine up, and when you're supposed to hit vacuum to pull the air out, because if you don't pull the air out, you got an air compressor. And you know what an air compressor does? It blows a pop-off valve. So you don't want an air compressor, you want an air conditioner, because air will not condense and turn into liquid. See, you know what I'm saying? But the refrigerant will. Anyway, you pull the air out by hitting vacuum. Everybody listening? If you hit recover, you're pulling the air into my tank. Don't hit recover if you're getting rid of the air, right? You got me? I mean, I've had people that I teach and teach and teach and teach that, and they're just halfway thinking about what they're doing. They hook the machine up, they hit recover, and then I got to purge the air out of my tank. All right, but anyway, if we had another refrigerant out there to begin with, we'd have contaminated our machine and spread the blended stuff into other cars. A lot of shops are doing that. They don't want to buy a $1,000 refrigerant identifier, and so they just take this stuff and it's like some kind of disease. It spreads from car to car, and everybody's got a bunch of screwed up refrigerant in their cars. It's a bad idea. Now, this is a caution. If you ever hear something that's making a lot of noise like that, this particular belt will be the cause of that noise. If you ever see a belt like that on a car and it's got something that sounds like a bad bearing or a power steering noise, this belt's going to probably be the cause of it. And before you replace the power steering pump and the tensioner and all this other hogwash, get a belt that doesn't look shiny. Like, this is a brand new belt. The first time I ran into that, there was a guy that I knew here that brought a Chevrolet truck in here, and he says, I have replaced everything on the front of this engine trying to get rid of this noise, and I cannot make this noise go away. So I screwed the fan off of it, you know, because the pulley was still bolted. I took the fan off so I wouldn't get my fingers cut off while I was listening to it, and I let him run it with the fan off of it, and I put my stethoscope in here and took the end off of it, and I listened to all of those pulleys, and right where the belt was hitting one of the pulleys, it was going, it's making a, you know, a noise. I mean, you swear it was a power steering pump problem or something. Now, the company that makes these belts right here doesn't make them like this anymore, but I had one over on the shelf over so you can actually look at it and hold it in your hand. If you see a shiny belt, I'm not talking about just these flutes, but if it's shiny and with those flutes, then that's going to be the cause of your noise. That's the noisy as all get out. You put one of those Gates belts on it or something that's fuzzy looking, that's not a Gates belt there, by the way. It's another company. But the long and the short of it is, that belt right there, Adam Snap, when he was working at Auto Exchange, he called me. And he says, I got a noise on this Windstar, and I'm trying to figure out why I can't make it go away. And I said, well, let me guess, is the belt shiny? It looks like a gator back belt, but it's real shiny. He goes, yeah, that's what it's on it. And I said, well, jerk that belt off and throw a regular belt on it, and all that noise will go away, and it did. And the company that makes these belts, when I published that in Motor Age, you know, was calling, whining about, you're hurting our sales on the belts, why are you publishing this in a magazine? And they asked me about it, and I said, I'm going to stick with my guns because I've seen too many of these make noise. You know, I mean, we've seen them several times here. It's that dumb noise, and the only thing that's causing it is that doggone belt. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but it don't work. All right, this right here is something you may see too. What would cause that right there?
Short.
Nope.
Water.
That fuse wasn't blown.
Water.
There was no water either.
Heat,
Heat is a good answer, but what caused the heat?
the relay next to it.
Nope, that's two different vehicles. This is the fan relay off of an 88 Crown Victoria. And this right here is the fan relay, the fan fuse on a 2004 Chrysler Sebring.
Was the relay bad?
Nope.
Too much something going to it, too much electricity.
Tell you what happens. Whenever the, you know, resistance makes heat, right? You start getting resistance where the terminals plug together. They begin to oxidize. Current stops flowing freely. You get resistance there. That's not supposed to have resistance. That's why those fuses fit in there so tight. All right, so what happens is, as the heat causes the metal to oxidize in the condition of the, you begin to drop voltage there because of resistance, it starts to melt that terminal. Because the more it melts and the hotter it gets, the worse it gets, and it snowballs out of control. And it basically causes a big mess. I've seen lots of relays do that stuff. This one right here had done it so bad that relay is operated by the engine controller, and it operates the cooling fan. It was on that blue Crown Victoria we got out here back when the colleague was still driving it. And the lady brought it in here, and she says, I'm hearing a noise up front. And so when I opened the hood, it was the thing was just sitting here going click, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I had a steady, like a turn signal flasher almost going. Well, what was happening was this was shorted out to the point to where it was back feeding current into the into the power system, you know, where it feeds all the injector and PCM and everything. And the PCM would wake up and it would try to run the fuel pump. Well, that would pull the current down. You know, there wasn't enough current to keep that up. So it would drop the current back below the threshold. The PCM would go back to sleep. And then this thing would say, hey, I'm gonna turn you back on. And it would basically, because of the resistance, it was clicking on and off, on and off. Every time the fuel pump tried to come on, it would shut it down, and then it was back and forth. And I was looking on the other side over there where the PCM was, because that's where all my noise was coming from. But it was over here behind the battery, and I walked over that way. I said, well, I'm gonna go over here and pull fuses until it stops doing this and find out what's going on. Then I smelled something, and I pulled that cover off, and I saw that burned up relay. And that burned up relay, that one relay right there was causing all that clicking. And
we had a fuel pump relay about after 30 minutes, it'd get too hot and shut the truck off.
yeah, I have seen, there was a relay, these little solid state relays that look like a regular relay, but they're potted, and this is it right here. This relay right here, basically, came out of a Nissan Altima. And when she turned on her air conditioner, for 5 minutes, her blower would not work. And then after 5 minutes, it would kick in and start working. And so what we did was we took the rear window defrost relay and moved it to this slot, and it worked beautiful every time. Now those potted relays like that, that's got that little potting in them, that's a Nissan, that's a Nissan relay right there. That's the one that was doing that. Now I don't know if it'd do it every time, but that's how that kind of thing is. That's a little war story thing. So the failure is not because of bad fan motors. Spade terminals can oxidize and become resistance prone, and that tends to melt things because of the resulting heat. All right, now here's the other thing. Watch this. One of the things you guys need to do, you need to get certified. And I was just showing this to Zane earlier. Let me see if it'll open this website right quick. We're almost done here. All right. Come on. Here we go. See this right here? All right, now see this right here where I'll go to ESCO Institute. And basically that's, see how you see that website up there? See the words? All right, you go to the ESCO Institute, and you can go to certifications, and what you're wanting is 609 certification. 609 certification makes it legal for you to work on air conditioners. Well, I was telling him, if the EPA guy walks in and you're not certified to work on an air conditioner, even if somebody else in a nearby service bay is, it's a $33,000 fine. Now, you're supposed to have this certification. It's not hard to get. And basically there's a study guide right here, you can, a free study guide you can download, and you can go online and take the test. It costs less than $20 to take this test, and it doesn't take long to do it. There's 49 questions on the test. But once you get certified, you've got a card that says you're ESCO certified. And if the EPA guy comes in, you pull out your wallet, you show him your card, and he walks away.
What if he comes in here?
Huh?
What if he comes in here?
I'm certified, and you're covered.
Oh, we're all covered.
Yep. Because this is a school. My certification covers you if you're in a school. Your service manager certification will not cover you if you're in a shop. The guy in the next bay, that guy over there is not doing the air conditioner work and you are, you're in trouble.
What if you're in training?
If you're in training like what we're doing, that is a sort of a gray area. I'm not exactly sure how to answer your question, like when you're at your co-op job and you're doing it. And I'm sure you need to ask Matt if he's ESCO certified, because it's really important.
Yeah,
Huh?
him and Marco are.
Him and Mark are ESCO certified.
And,
But you can get ESCO certified in a flash. It ain't that hard to do. It's real quick and easy to do. And it basically just runs you through all of the stuff that you're supposed to know in order to work on air conditioner stuff. And but that's really important information. But anyway, you go to that website right there, and you can click right here and take the test. See here, you fill that out. You put your information in there. You put your debit or your credit card in there. They don't charge it very much. Work your way through it, and then you'll be certified.